You know, I've always thought that one component of being a professional is to know the history of the profession you're in and then honor the people that helped create that. And so along those lines, we're going to have a few minutes here where we're going to talk about the Vietnam War. Last year marked the 50th anniversary of the end of the war in Vietnam. Congress empowered the Secretary of Defense to create the United States of America Vietnam War Commemoration. It's my honor to bring to the podium now Major General retired James T. Jackson, who's the Director of the Department of Defense, Office of the Vietnam War Commemoration, to provide more information and help us honor our Vietnam War veterans. General Jackson.
Well, good morning, everybody. For a little change of pace here, it's interesting to listen to the bevy of challenges you all are dealing with every day and the complexity of them. My role's a little different today, not quite comic relief, but somewhere in that direction. I'd like to thank the association for letting us have the opportunity to spend some time with you today. It's our honor and privilege to be here and to help you recognize some of the Vietnam veterans who might be here today. Special thanks to Joe Pisano and Major General Carl McNair, who helped make this happen today. For those of you who might have been here last year, I'm going to do a little bit different. I'm going to set the stage for a couple videos and not do so much speaking. I'll let the videos do that for me. But the first video was built by my team in Crystal City to show primarily some of the stuff that's been going on over the course of the last couple of years. I have two members of my team here today, Sergeant First Class Will Beaver, U.S. Army, and Gunnery Sergeant Tom Stewart, both of which are USMC, both of which have been doing a great job, and you might see them later on today down at the booth right next to the Vet Center downstairs. But our team's been working with partners all across the country to help the American public find ways to recognize their Vietnam veterans where they live and work in their hometowns all across the country. As I mentioned, we built this first video to help show our partners and to help inform them as to what's going on. At this time, if there anyone here who did serve during the specific years 1955 to 1975 and Vietnam veterans, would you stand, please? Hard for me to see. Oh. That's a little larger group than I thought. I'm really pleased to see you all. The aviators obviously had a critical component of that war. The message that you'll hear throughout the video is a common one. We use it all the time. It's basically a grateful nation thanks and honors you, the country's Vietnam veterans. This is what we're trying to share all across the country, and so far it's working rather well. We try to remind everybody that this is in fact a national program. It was authorized by Congress, put in place by the President, and then of course executed by the Department of Defense, of which we are a very small piece of that. So the reactions that we've seen across the country by our veterans has been very, very good. In fact, it borders on the terrific side. It's clear that the attitudes that our country experienced years ago have shifted and changed dramatically, and today the country is prepared to go back and redo something that was done 50 years ago or something that was failed to do. And today we are recognizing past service to the country. So what I'd like to do is show you a quick video, the first one, again, built in-house. If you'd play the first video, please.
Today begins the 50th commemoration of our war in Vietnam. It's another opportunity to say to our Vietnam veterans what we should have been saying from the beginning. Welcome home. Thank you.
Across the nation, Americans are uniting in communities to thank and honor Vietnam veterans and their families for their service and sacrifice. Today, we estimate there are 7 million living U.S. Vietnam veterans, all who served on active duty anytime, anywhere between November 1, 1955 and May 15, 1975. To help us reach these veterans, local, state, and national organizations have joined us as commemorative partners. I want to thank you for the honor to be part of your service and letting us share our message while we recognize your Vietnam veterans and their families during the 50th anniversary of this war. I do confess that I have two selfish reasons for being here today. First and foremost is to seek your assistance in helping us accomplish the task given to us by Congress, to help the country and their people thank and honor Vietnam veterans, all who served on active duty, their families, our former POWs, and the families of the missing, of which we still have over 1,600 awaiting for some kind of accountability of loved ones. Second is to help you recognize your veterans here today. I'm sure there are many people who do not list themselves as a Vietnam veteran because they didn't actually serve in country. We are recognizing all who served during that time because if asked, they would have gone, and they deserve our recognition. As of today, we have more than 10,600 commemorative partners working with us to extend our reach. It is via their efforts that we reach veterans all across the country, where they live and work. It is our commemorative partners who are conducting events and thanking veterans and families on behalf of the country. To date, we have supported over 8,000 events all across the country, and we closed 2016 supporting over 4,000 events. This national effort represents a changing attitude all across the country. It shows an awareness by our people that what was done to our Vietnam veterans 50 years ago was wrong, and all of us need to be involved to help make it right. To date, we have reached over 1.4 million Vietnam veterans and family members, with our partners thanking each of them in person for their service and sacrifices. You need to know that your service years ago was both important to the nation and meaningful to all of us. You made a difference in all our lives. So on behalf of the nation and the Secretary of Defense, I want to thank each and every one of you again for your service during the Vietnam War years, and thank you for what you've done since you've returned home. When asked to serve, you did your part, and each of you deserve the gratitude of a grateful nation. Kind of neat what you can do with a computer these days when you know how. And that's not me, that's some young people upstairs. Let me give you a quick update on some of the numbers that you heard in there. Currently, the commemoration has supported over 9,000 events since we were started. We closed 2016 having supported nearly 4,500 events. And we're not too sure how we're going to deal with 2017 because that number was rather large for 2016. 2,000 events conducted by the Veterans Administration. We've distributed over 1.2 million lapel pins to partners, each one presented in person to a worthy veteran. We've reached over 1.6 million families and thanked them for their sacrifices. We work consistently with the National League of POW and MIA families every year. Today, we still have 1,611 families waiting for some kind of accountability from Southeast Asia. According to the VA, the death rate of Vietnam-era veterans is now at 426 per day. So reaching these veterans before they pass away is a critical goal. When we started the commemoration, we had nearly 7.2 million living Vietnam-era veterans. Today, we're down to just slightly above 6.9 million. So the numbers are going in the wrong direction, but we've something we've planned for, and we're trying to reach these people before they die off. The reality of our situation is we've reached a significant number of veterans, slightly more than 1 million. We assume that others have been reached somewhere around the country, but we just might not know about it, therefore we can't tally their numbers. But no matter how you look at it, we've got about 5+ million that still need to be reached. We accept that many veterans remain disconnected or may just have moved on. They don't attend events, and they have a desire to stay private. However, the country owes them a debt of gratitude that we're trying to accomplish, and therefore we need help, like many of you, from many of you, to find and reach these veterans where they live. We ask you to continue to press on events like this and take the opportunity, whenever possible, to reach out to those veterans and offer them the gratitude from the nation. Let us know where we might help. We're glad to do so. We provide materials all across the country for free at no cost to our partners. Each Vietnam veteran needs to know that their service years ago was both meaningful and valuable to our country. If you have the time, take the time to visit our website at www.vietnamwar50th.com. Go there, look for events, click on that drop-down box, find the country. There's a map of the country. Look for your hometown, see what's going on around you. Go visit one of these events, see what's happening, get involved, participate, find a way to thank vets. If you are a vet, go out with fellow vets, get your friends to go, get them there so we can thank them. My closing video I showed last year, but not knowing exactly how many of you would be repeats, and plus hearing that the video went over well, I thought I'd bring it back. It was built for us by one of our partners, the Virginia International Tattoo down in Norfolk, and they got a guy by the name of Sam Elliott to narrate it for them. If you play the video, please.
9 million Americans served during the period of the Vietnam War. They represented 10% of their generation. 6 million of them were volunteers. They were the oldest and best educated force America ever sent into harm's way. 97% would be honorably discharged. And today, the vast majority of them testify with their actions and their words that they are proud of their service and would serve again if called. November 14th, 1965, 10:48 a.m. Elements of the 7th Cavalry touched down at Landing Zone X-Ray. Within 30 minutes, the Battle of the Ai Drang began, the first major battle fought by the American Army in Vietnam. Over 3 harrowing days, vastly outnumbered American forces would hold out and ultimately repel enemy forces. American forces would never lose a major engagement during the ensuing 8 years of combat operations. Known as the Wall, the Vietnam Memorial stands in honor of those who served in the Vietnam War. The names of the men and women who gave their lives are inscribed in the order they were taken from us. 58,286 names. The youngest was Marine Private First Class Dan Bullock at 15 years of age, and the oldest was Navy Petty Officer First Class Kenna Taylor at 62. There are 3 sets of fathers and sons, 1 set of stepbrothers, 39 pairs of brothers, 8 women, 16 clergy, and 155 Medal of Honor recipients. And let us not forget, there are still more than 1,600 missing and unaccounted for personnel. The French were in Vietnam before the Americans and lost more than 70,000 lives. More than 400,000 Allied troops served with the American forces. Joining as allies with the United States were the Republic of Korea, Thailand, the Republic of the Philippines, Australia, and New Zealand. These allies suffered more than 5,000 lives lost during the course of the war. American combat forces left Vietnam in 1973. 2 years later, Saigon fell. Over those last 2 years, without American and Allied combat forces in the region, casualties in Southeast Asia were doubled what they had been during the 10 years prior. To our Vietnam veterans who answered the nation's call to serve, we thank you. Your greatness is etched in history from the battlefields of Southeast Asia to the neighborhoods of hometown America, where you continue to bring blessings and inspiration to your families and your country today. To the families of our Vietnam veterans, we thank you for the greatness of your support, sacrifice, vigilance, and compassion. And to our allies who stood by us 50 years ago, we thank you. The greatness that was earned by this generation never left you, and it never will.
One last plug. I'd ask the veterans, if you've got a chance, please visit our booth downstairs. Let Gunny Stewart take the opportunity to present you with one of our lapel pins and thank you for your service. God bless all of you. Thanks again for the invite. Look forward to seeing you next year. Bye.
General Jackson, thank you for what you for the presentation, but also all the work that you're doing to actually commemorate our veterans of Vietnam.